What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today we're going to talk about the envelopians in America and how one group of envelopians is trying to start a civil war. But it's not going to actually happen. What's going to happen is they're going to create domestic terrorists akin to Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Let me explain. So the well-to-do, the Republicans, okay? We're talking about the Republicans. The elite Republicans, right? Not the politicians. We're talking about the elite Republicans. The ones that's truly in charge, right? These guys spend a lot of money keeping their constituents really stupid and afraid of everybody because they need their constituents to do, all the dirty work for them. Just like you see around the world, it's the least educated amongst us that go off and do all the killing and dying for all the super smart rich people, right? That's just how it works. But so if you haven't been paying attention to news, they have been putting their marching orders down to their broadcasting networks, Fox News, on all those right-wing networks, and they've been saying the word civil war, civil war. They've been pumping it, trying to get it in the minds of their constituents, which their constituents was shit. Most of them are so goddamn old that they remember the Civil War when they were babies. All right, that's how freaking old their constituents are, right? And they have to gin them up. They have to make them afraid to do what they want them to do, because the thing is, if these guys were to try to use policy to get their constituents to support them, it wouldn't work, because Republican policies are very unpopular in America, even amongst actual Republicans. That's why you notice Republican conservatives, they don't talk about policy. They talk about gay stuff and they talk about China and they talk about Iran. And they keep them focused on their enemy, right? Keeping them afraid, and that's how they become motivated to vote, right? That's how you can get a person like Donald Trump, who's a clear failure, right? If Donald Trump was never a millionaire, he would have never been a millionaire. If Donald Trump's family was a regular middle class family, Donald Trump would just been a piece of shit dude that got his ass whipped all the time. Like, he might have not even made it, right? But because he was lucky enough to be born to barons, he was high enough to, as he's been falling, that even as he falls, he's still higher than all of us, right? So you almost can't recognize it unless you're looking for it, right? But they're promoting a civil war, right? They want their people to take action, because the thing is, the democratic process is not conducive for Republicans in their authoritarian plans. Because, like I said, 80% of America pretty much all want the same thing. If you look at the policies that other parties, right, other people, even former moderates in the Republican Party, right, former real Republicans, all right, real Republicans used to, put out, they were popular, right? But today's class of today's class of, I guess you can call them, they're operating on the Republican side, but they're not really Republicans. I want you guys to remember this. Remember it and don't forget it. Donald Trump was a Democrat. His entire life, he supported Democrats. He campaigned for Democrats. He gave them millions upon millions of dollars, and he's been a part of all the major elite Democratic circles his entire life, because his daddy got him in them circles in New York. Just read a book on Donald Trump. Donald Trump only became a Republican when he ran for the presidency. That's when he became a Republican. And if you notice, he don't have the same policies or ideological thinkings as the rest of the real Republicans. That's why you got MAGA, and then you got the Republicans. They're not even the same party. MAGA is his own thing. It's a cult. All right, but anyway, what's going to happen is these right-wing evangelical Christians, because believe it or not, the white evangelical Christian base in the countryside of America is they're just as fundamental as the fundamentalist Muslims that we like to call terrorists all the time. They're just as fundamental. They're just as disillusioned. They're just as stupid. They believe everything in those fictitious books. They believe it. They believe it wholeheartedly. And it's easy to manipulate somebody whose head is so empty, they don't have any real knowledge. It's just full of just pseudo bullcrap. You can tell them anything. Just Jesus would do it. These fundamentalist Christians are so far gone that if you say, what would Jesus do? They wouldn't know. Matter of fact, Jesus is he ain't good enough no more. Jesus is not even good enough for these guys no more. Jesus is a left-wing liberal to these guys, all right, at this point, all right? Ronald Reagan is a left-wing liberal at this point. All right, that's how bad we done got. Ronald Reagan used to be as far as we would go right, but even him would be considered a left-wing liberal freaking deep state agent to these MAGA Republicans and the greater Republican Party that you know, that's rolling with this MAGA shit. But this was gonna happen. You see, to have a civil war, you need two opposing sides. And I was having this conversation with you know, a subscriber of mine who actually brought this up in my comment section. You need two opposing sides, and I've been kind of thinking about this. I just haven't said it on camera. To have a civil war, you need two equal opposing sides with the ability to fight a war, right? That's what a civil war is, right? But you see, these guys are so stupid over there on the Republican side. We're not talking about the left. The left got their own particular issues with letting everybody be. You can be a rock, identify yourself as dirt. You can be a bike and identify as a scooter. You can just be whatever. They don't care. You're just like Jello, right? You can just be anything you want, right? But, you know, that's their stuff. And, you know, we all don't, you know, agree with all that stuff, right? Because, like I said, in different parties, there's different factions within parties. But the problem with the Republican Party is the factions that used to have power in the Republican Party have been defeated by MAGA. So MAGA is the majority of the party. They're the ones who wield the power, right? So Republicans right now are trying to get their party back from the MAGA base that they created. First, it started out with Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin was the archetype. Look how stupid she was, right? She was the archetype. And then they kept looking for somebody that could fit that mold. Donald Trump was perfect, and he's a man, which made it even better. Had Sarah Palin been a man, she might have got up in there, right? So, but this is so MAGA and that creation is something they created because they pandered to their low information voters, scaring them, telling them that it's everybody else's fault that they're in the conditions that they're in, so that they would never find out that the people that's creating the environments that they hate are the rich, well-to-do that look just like them. That's the problem, right? So, but this was gonna happen. You know, we've already seen some lone wolf evangelical Christian white males who think they're being heroes to save America. Because, you know, remember, God gave them America. Remember, God gave them America. God gave them America. Jesus wrote the, you know, the OGs. No, David wrote the Constitution, right? You know, and Solomon, they sat down there and wrote the Constitution, and God gave them America. The white Anglo-Saxon man gave them America, told them to go kill those savage Native Americans, told them to go enslave those subhuman Africans. Remember, America belongs to them, right? It's theirs. Period. So anything that changes their white American, you know, their white America, it's an assault on them as far as they're concerned. It's the destruction of America. Because remember, your black ass ain't never been American. So when they say America, they're talking about white Americans. When they say, that's why you're an African American. That's why they're Asian American. That's why they're Spanish American. That's why I make it a point to remind them that they don't belong here either. That's why I call them European Americans, because they're from Europe, not from America. But because these particular group of Europeans, well, this particular group of white people in general, which is weird, they totally disavow their motherland and homeland for a new identity, calling themselves white or American patriots, right? They literally fought. They fought to leave their homeland. They fought against their culture. They fought and died and killed and murdered and just went through centuries of strife to get away from the place that they're from. Unlike everybody else, right? They're the only ones who've done that, right? So think about that. So all their eggs is in America's basket, right? Just like in Australia. All those Australians' eggs are in Australia's basket, them white folk. In South Africa, guess what? All those Boers and shit, guess what? All their eggs was in that basket. They can't just, I mean, they can go to other European countries, but they're not welcome. Them other white people don't like them, right? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And they're the canary in the coal mine. South Africa is showing you what's gonna happen. What's gone is inevitable. And they know it's inevitable. And that's the fear being used to get these people to, instead of just go along with the changing of the culture and just embrace it like some envelopians are doing, these ones like, nah, we gotta fight to the death. We're gonna go to war, civil war. But what's gonna happen is, just like the Taliban, there's not enough of them to actually fight any type of war. They don't have logistics. They may have a bunch of, have a bunch of guns in their houses, and you know, they bought a bunch of bulletproof vests and helmets, and they come on YouTube and they prep and they do all these things. That's what they do. But guess what? You can't. What are you gonna do when 5-0 come knocking on your door, you know, you're gonna fight. They're gonna end up being domestic terrorists. The only people they can fight is law enforcement. Period. So either the local law enforcement is gonna have to deal with them, or they're gonna let them do it. Huh? That's when the feds come in. Then what? What they gonna do? Who they gonna fight? All they're gonna do is go off and find soft targets to kill or murder. They'll just be murderers, and then they'll be pursued by the local police department or the federal police department. Or worst case scenario, they'll call in. If they have to call in the military to get these guys, then they'll officially have become a designated terrorist organization, and they'll be dealt with like that. Remember, as the Marine Corps took an oath to defend America from both enemies, both foreign and domestic. Everybody who take the oath has raised their right hand and said they will defend America against enemies both foreign and domestic. That's those evangelical right-wing male Christians who think that they need to go to war with the other half of America because it's not going to be as white as it used to be anymore. Keep that in mind. That's what's going to happen. Period. There's never going to be a civil war. Just going to be crazy ass white people walking around with their guns that they bought at their local gun store, causing havoc, causing terrorism, because they don't like the change that's happening, right? They didn't care about the change when they were the immigrants coming here killing, mass murdering, genociding people. They didn't care about that. But now there's people coming over because of the policies of America, forcing all those people to come to this country, because how America advertised for those people to come to this country so that we can import all the intellectual knowledge that the world has into this country. That's our biggest asset. Of course, the corporations don't tell them that. They tell them, oh, look at them coming over here, while there's a sign in Africa, Asia, and Europe, hey, come over here. Like, it's ridiculous. But I just want to talk about that for a second. These people really think they're going to get a civil war. Watch Fox News. Listen to the shit that they say. Civil war. They trying to get it in the minds of their old geezer freaking supporters. What they go? Are you see these? And all of them are fat and out of shape. What they going to do? Huh? They're going to be out of breath? But when they put all that shit on, and they walking up down the street with all their magazines and all that shit they bought from their local freaking pawn shop, you know, they're gonna be tired. All right, they're gonna get in they fucking truck. They're gonna have to go to the gas. They're gonna run out of gas. Like, it's gonna be ridiculous. Okay, so I just wanted to bring it up. If anybody ain't paying attention, the well-to-do and the haves are trying to get dumbass Republican white people from rural areas who don't even see black people. These people don't see. They live amongst white people in America. Like, there's places in America where it's just all white. Like, the country still is white, just as lily white as it be. We don't go there, right? And they're getting drummed up, and they're so scared they're willing to get in their car and drive hundreds of miles to go find danger to get themselves involved. And we know they would do that because they're weird and they do shit like that. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now, guys. Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.